Hi. Okay, so we're kind of in the dark here. I did have my Christmas lights on, but it it's just not doing the damn thing. So anyway, I'm gonna make a longer video today. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Also, do we love my outfit? It's gorge. But I digress. Okay, so today we're gonna get into music and movies and media and some more taboo topics that I love talking about. Occult shit, esoteric knowledge, all the stuff that they don't want us to talk about. I don't think I'm supposed to curse on YouTube. I can't fucking help it, so I don't know, get the fuck over it, right? So, anyway, I say all this to say one way that my guides communicate to me is through music and media. I'm. Good God. I'm clairvoyant and clair. I have so many fucking clairs. I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient. I'm also clairsentient, clair empathetic, clair whatever the fuck is the one that you fucking smell. Uh, and yeah, like basically whatever all the clairs are, just I fucking have it, okay? But my strongest, my strongest actually is clairsentience. I'm really going off on a tangent here. Let me get back to what I wanted to talk about. Clairaudient, clairvoyant as fuck. So clear seeing, clear hearing. So one of the ways that my guides communicate to me is through music and movies. I'm speaking too fast. I apologize. I'm excited. Music and media, movies. I'm a slut for media. So yeah, slut for knowledge, slut for music and movies. Give it to me. Anyway, if I if there's a message channeled through someone, it can be different people, but if a message comes through twice for me, I know it's something that I need to follow up on. So, at first, Natija Cave, shout out to Natija, mentioned Michael B. Jordan. And I have to admit, I didn't know who the fuck that was. She said Michael Jordan, and I was like, okay, I know who Michael Jordan was. But she was referring to an interview with Michael B. Jordan, and I wanted to look at the interview, so I realized it was Michael B. Jordan, and I was like, that is not Michael Jordan. That's not who the fuck I thought that was going to be. So, anyway, that's how I got introduced to Michael B. Jordan. And then twice the movie Sinners came through, once through her, and then once through a colleague that I know. And so I was like, okay, obviously I have to watch this movie. And it said it was horror, which I wasn't really about because I don't really like horror movies. Thankfully, it was not the type of horror movie that I thought it was going to be. And so, anyway, but it said it had vampires, and it had vampires and it had Michael B. Jordan. And I was like, you know what? And I was guided to watch it. So I was like, okay, there's something in here for me. There's some message in here for me that I have to watch. Now we're gonna get into it. I am a fairy, obviously. Look at me, okay? Fairy, sprite, etc. And because of that, I've always been drawn to watch movies or shows with vampires because vampires are attracted to fairies. I mean, vampires want to suck everyone's motherfucking blood, but like particularly like sprites and fairies, and obviously like babies. Um, but I digress again. So anyway, actually no. First, before I go on that tangent, I want to give you some examples of TV shows and movies that I do like that involve knowledge about vampires, and one media that I thought was fucking cheesy as shit and I did not enjoy with vampires because I'm also picky as fuck. Twilight, can't eat a bag of dicks. That shit fucking blew. For some reason, I did watch all of them. It was one of those things where it was kind of like forced upon me. I think one time I was just in a place where it was playing, and so I watched it. Then one of my girlfriends wanted to watch like the second or third one. I have not seen all of them. I don't know how many they are. but I thought they were corny and I was not into them. I also know that the people involved in the Twilight movies, aka Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, I don't think she enjoyed it. I know he hated it, but like they didn't enjoy it. So like, fuck that whole fucking franchise. That shit sucked. It was, oh god, it was just such a fucking money ploy fucking bullshit. It was such bullshit. I fucking hated all of it. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad. Fuck Twilight, okay? Fuck Twilight. I also never watched Vampire Diaries. I never felt called to. Something in me just energetically sensed that once again it seemed like a little bit overly romantic and possibly like cheesy, or just I'm just not into it. I'm open to being wrong. I never watched it, like I said, so what do I know? But that one I never felt called to. But let's get into shows and movies regarding vampires that I do heavily fuck with. True Blood, my god. One of my favorite shows, probably hands down like my favorite series of all time. I fucking love True Blood. And, you know, as a fairy, I was called to watch these shows to learn about these things and to know how to protect myself. Another movie, or a movie I liked, Only Lovers Left Alive. Fantastic. Very, very cool. Like, conceptually about vampires in the modern day. Another TV show, Preacher. It only had one vampire, but like, what a fucking sick series. Also, one of my favorite series. Another show that will show you like just the evil going on in the world is the show Evil. Super good. Love that show as well. And well, obviously the movie Eyes Wide Shut. I mean, there's so many. I think it's so interesting when you wake up and you have like clear seeing. You watch these shows and these movies, and you're like, thank you. Thank you for the information of what's going on in the real world. But if you don't have that perspective, you just watch it as if it's fantasy. I find that so interesting when I talk to people, because like a lot of people just think like, oh yeah, like it's fiction, and it's like, no, they are blatantly telling you what's going on, and who's going to know it better than someone in Hollywood where they're literally doing all this fucking demonic shit. Oh god, it's so funny. It's just so funny to me. I was at what the fuck is it? There's some fucking really famous theater in Hollywood that my friend took me to recently. And it had all these pictures of, like Marilyn Monroe and old movie stars, and like if you look in their eyes, I was just like, they look terrified. I was like, they look terrified because there was so much fucking demonic and like fucked up shit happening in Hollywood, and I just openly talk about like demons in Hollywood and whatnot. And like people just look at me and I'm just like, oh, you don't know? Like I forget that people don't know. Anyway, sorry. This was a bit of a ramble here, but I just wanted to say some of that stuff. Because you really can watch the same movie or TV show or something with someone, and like if they don't have the eyes that you have to see it, their perspective will be completely different. And this is like no judgment or anything. It's just something that I've observed and that I think is really interesting, and that I have to constantly be like, oh, right, like they're viewing it through the lens of fiction, where I'm viewing it from the lens of, thank you for the information. I'm going to take notes so that I can use this information to remember and protect myself, because these forces of evil do very much exist in the world. 9:09 on the clock. Um, so anyway, back to the movie Sinners. Great movie. I was thinking earlier, I was reflecting and I was trying to come up with words, and like honestly I don't have enough words. They're just really, I mean, really amazing movie. Such a, yeah, just I don't I can't articulate it honestly. Usually I'm pretty good at articulating things. I just can't. It was just one of those things where it just invoked a lot of feeling and resonance, and I think conceptually it was very interesting with the notion of, being a musician and opening up that portal to different timelines and different realms. I thought that was so fascinating as a singer-songwriter myself who like if you are an artist, you do enter different realms, but I'd never seen it portrayed or explained in such a way, especially regarding timelines and everything. So that was really, really, really cool. And then, just the way that women and mystics and seers and like black women in particular have been, you know, so overlooked for their intuition and, oh, it's witchy bullshit and it's like, no, she's a seer, she knows and like men and other people should absolutely listen. So, yeah, I have a lot to say about that movie, but that's not actually what I wanted to talk about. That was kind of just like the preface for this. Also, apologies, I do have a raging headache today. So, that's kind of going on as I'm trying to get these messages out as well. But I wanted to talk about these things. So, yeah, what I wanted to talk about is like confirmation burp. Hold on, it's like stuck in my chest. Ugh, okay. Yes, vampires are very, very real, and you absolutely can identify them through the ways that they were telling you. So, I've experienced again as a fairy. As a fairy, I've attracted many fucking vampires over my time. Those bitches won't leave me the fuck alone, and it's super annoying. I'm gonna be so real with you. On a lot of times, I just don't go out at nighttime anymore. It definitely like I really try not to because they're just everywhere. They're just fucking everywhere, and I don't feel like dealing with them. So, um, but I say all this to say like the whole concept that you have to let them in. Yeah, that's another movie. It's like Let the Right One In or something. That was like a horror movie I watched back in the day. But it's so fucking real. I remember one time I was dating this guy and his mom is very obviously a fairy. Very obviously a fairy. And he kind of gave like gnome vibes or like elven vibes or something. Um and never met his dad, but like apparently his dad was a piece of shit or something. Like his dad had weird vibes, whatever. Never met this motherfucker. And the one time we had done like mushrooms, and honestly, I used to do mushrooms and I used to smoke a lot of weed, and I'm at a point now in my journey where like I just don't even want to touch that stuff. Like I don't need to be opening those portals so freely. I already open portals on my own, like through meditations and other ways, but I don't want to go there anymore. I've I've seen too much. Okay, you get to a fucking point where you've just seen too much, and it's like, nope. I know that that's there. I don't need to go back there. I don't need to go back there. I don't need to go back into hell in the fucking marshy swamplands that is. Nope. I'm good. I know it exists, and I have no desire to go back into that shit. 333 has come up a lot in this video. I had 333 and then it was 1333. So that could be significant. I know it's significant for me on my spiritual journey. But I digress. Shimmy shimmy. Um but yeah, so basically we did mushrooms, and because I'm seer and because I'm healer, oh, dude. I saw within his like sacral chakra area essentially this just like black tar, and I like tapped into his lineage, and it was just this fucking like this root system of black tar, and I saw very clearly that his dad was a vampire, his mom was a fairy, and essentially he, sucked all of her magic from her and, left her high and dry. I don't actually know if I'm using that phrase correctly, high and dry, but like just depleted her magic, sucked out her essence for his own power and control, and then just left her. And yeah, without, I'm not trying to talk ish here. I'm just trying to give real world examples so that it gives a little more context. I will just say that in her past, it seemed like she was in a more abundant place. And at the time when I knew her, that was not the case. That's really the nicest way I can say it. Lovely person. Like, I don't have anything against these people at all, but wasn't doing as well as she could have been doing, especially with the gifts, the artistic gifts and abilities that she possessed. Okay. And so I saw this and it became very clear like, oh, his dad's a vampire, his mom's a fairy, he's a hybrid of both, and I'm a fairy, so I cannot be involved with this motherfucker. Okay. I broke it off. I broke things off almost immediately. After that, like very shortly after that, I told him all of this, and then very shortly after that, I broke things off. I'm also like, I mean, I'm a fucking mystic. I'm a seer. Okay, if you're not my soulmate, it's not gonna happen. So for me, like a lot of my relationships have been very short, even if they're good people, just solely because I'm like, you're not my person. Like you're whatever. You're nice, whatever, or maybe you're a fucking psychopathic, narcissistic piece of shit, like many of my exes. But some of my exes have actually been like kind, gentlemanly people. But it's just like you're not my person, so it's just not it. And I'm not going to stay in this relationship and prolong the inevitable, which is us breaking up. So broke up with this guy. And the other thing, oh gosh, this is bringing me back now. I did pole dancing at the time. I don't really do that anymore either. I would actually like to. It's a lot of fun. I just don't have access to my pole, whatever. There's other priorities in my life. But so anyway, at that time I had a pole in my apartment. And I realized through that as well that the pole in itself, this is gonna sound so crazy and woo woo, and I don't give a shit anymore. I've gone through way too much shit to really give a fuck about what people think of me. So you're just gonna have to bear with me or click off the video. 1707. Um, I realized that the pole was connecting the higher realms to the lower realms, and that it was essentially being this like bridge between the heavens and the hell or the underworld. And I didn't want that bridge open and that portal open. So I took my pole down pretty shortly after that because I didn't want to bridge that in my apartment. God, after that, I did open an entire fucking portal to the underworld through a different thing. And that truly, like, literally just fucking opened an entire fucking portal to hell and or not hell. I don't really know if you want to consider it hell. I don't know what you call it, but like to the lower realms where all the demons and fucking gremlins thrive. Yeah, accidentally opened a portal to them and they were fucking with me in my apartment and my cat. But that's a story for another day. Anywho, back to this. So, took the pole down, broke up with this guy, and almost immediately, like super obsessive, showing up at my apartment unannounced routinely, and basically I had really went through my apartment and cleansed the whole space, like made sure that it was very like spiritually and energetically clean. And then he came again, like showed up unannounced, whatever. But I had like his pillow or something that I had to get back to him. And so I was like, okay, whatever, let's just fucking, like, you're annoying the fuck out of me. Like, I'll just give you your shit so you can get the fuck out of my life forever. And he showed up, and I wasn't gonna let him in because I just spent so much time cleaning my space. And he was like, "Can I come in?" And I was like, "No." And he couldn't. Like, he could not walk through the portal that was my door. He couldn't cross the threshold. He could get into the common area because there was a hallway before my apartment. He was able to get into that space because that was like open to anyone, but he couldn't cross he couldn't cross the threshold into my apartment. And I was like, no, you can't come in. And he got so mad. He got so mad, and he literally could not step foot into my apartment. And that was like the moment where I was like, oh my god, like this shit is real. Like they do need an invitation in. And, then that was like mind blowing in itself. But then after that, like, he was still super obsessed with me, still showing up unannounced. I really thought like at one point I was gonna have to get a restraining order for this motherfucker. Um, and then like at the time I was buying weed from him and I didn't have another source. I don't smoke weed anymore, but I didn't have another source at the time. This was years ago. And so I like because he was so desperate to still have some sort of relationship with me, of course, so he could siphon my fucking energy. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna get. So I made it very clear to him. I was like, I'm just gonna like come and pick up weed and then leave. Like a 5 minute fucking session. I was like, I'll come to you. I don't want you coming to my place. I'll come to you. I'll pick up my weed and I'll fucking leave. Go to pick up my weed. This motherfucker wants to get in like a fucking hour long conversation about like getting me back and then show me how well he's doing through this projects he's working on. He's like, do you want to look see this thing I'm working? And I'm like, no. And he was like shocked. And it's like, you don't fucking listen, you dumbass. You fucking dumbass. But I say all this to say that like the shit that they tell you, long story short, the shit that they tell you in movies and media about like vampires and gremlins and werewolves, like it's not. Ooh, just had a weird thing happen with my window. It's not based on nothing. Like, you think folklore and mythology, like you think someone just pulled that out of their assholes. Like you think that there are so many documents and like, stories of the same thing for no fucking reason. Like, no, it's real. It's very, very real. So, I say all this to say that yes, pay attention to movies and stuff. Do not take things at face value. Okay? When there's a movie trying to tell you about like hoodoo and voodoo and witchy stuff and vampires and werewolves and all of these things, listen, take notes, store them in your motherfucking subconscious so when the red flags arrive and someone's asking to be invited into your apartment, you can say no. You can say no, you can't come in, or you can see how they react. Because this is the other thing is like, even if it's not a vampire, there's many entities that attach themselves to unconscious people. Hold on, I need to add the light. Give me a second, it's gotten a little too dark in here. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize my towel was in the background. Dang it. Sorry, that's not a vibe. Um, yeah. What the fuck was I what the fuck was I saying? I can't believe you're not allowed to curse on YouTube. I wonder if this is gonna get deleted. I didn't know that was a thing until recently, and I can't help myself. Fuck censorship, am I right? um, but yeah, basically like don't take shit at face value. Don't take it at face value, take notes. And yeah, oh, this is what I was going to say. Like, entities will attach themselves to unconscious people, men and women, but particularly men, because men, for the majority, are very behind women in awakening in consciousness. And and yeah, they'll get pissed. How you can tell if someone has like a demonic entity attached to them or anything like that, or if they're a vampire. First of all, if they're a vampire, seriously, like watch how they need you to let them in. Watch how they need you to invite them in and that they literally cannot cross the threshold. And if that is the case, slam the door in their face and there's really no need to talk to them again if I'm being real. Like there's no fucking need. And they will like as the movie Sinners like really presented like they will try to pull on your emotions, cause emotional instability so that you can't think clearly and have coherence. Now this towel is pissing me off. Hold on. Oh my god. As I fucking trip on my blanket. Okay. And we're back. And we're back. Okay. Da 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 da. But yeah, they'll do everything in their power to, get you off center. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just woke my cat up from a nap and she is like, what is I'm sorry. um, yeah, they'll do anything to pull at your emotions, find your vulnerabilities and weaponize them against you so that you're not thinking coherently, so that you're in a weakened energetic and vibrational sense state, excuse me, so that they actually have access to you. Because the other thing is, if you're in a really high vibrational state, these lower energies, entities, vampirical, parasitic bitches, they can't access you because you're way too high above them. Um, so they need to lower you down, not necessarily all the way to their level, but to a level where you feel weak, vulnerable, insecure, etc., so that they can have a little bit of a leeway. All they need is a little bit of an opening for them to kind of like again like lure you back down and then emotionally manipulate you so that they can control you and siphon off of your essence and energy. Um yeah, but yeah, watch how these motherfuckers cannot enter your space unless you let them in, unless you actually like invite them in and say like, yeah, you can come in. But it's really interesting because it's weird. Like it's a weird thing when you're standing at your doorway and they're standing on the other side and you're kind of like, why are you not coming? Like why is there this weird like pausing or this weird like pacing where they're not coming in right away, but there is. If you don't rush to let them in, you'll notice that there is a space and that there is a pause if you allow there to be one. And then you're like, wait a minute, they can't come in unless I invite them in. What the fuck is that about? And that's honestly, that's all of the information that you need. um yeah. What else? Garlic works. Garlic helps for protection. There's a lot of topics I want to talk about, and honestly, I'm probably going to break a lot of these down into shorter segments as well. But I'm kind of like, I wanted to make this kind of longer form video, so we'll kind of get into it. But yeah, oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about is portals. I want to talk about portals. Wait, let me get my tea. Oh, perfect. I waited just long enough for that to be at like the perfect fucking temperature. Ugh, love when that happens. Take the tea bag out. Actually, you know what? Let me talk about protection and then we'll talk about portals. So, again, as I was saying, these. Oh my gosh, not gonna burp. It's just stuck in my fucking chest. Sorry, today's been really weird for me energetically. And also, I want to say I've constantly been called to make these types of videos where I just go full Joan of Arc and talk about shit that's in like really taboo. And the evil powers that be and these cult like organizations that exist, they really don't want me talking about this, obviously. And honestly, it prevented me from talking about these types of things for a really long time. Sorry, I'm trying to listen for something. Okay, I think it's fine. um but that's the thing, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Yeah, okay. My roommate's home. I wish she wasn't. That's what I was listening for. Whatever. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going because once again, they don't want me. They want me to stop, so I'm not going to fucking stop. I won't shut the fuck up anytime soon. Um, yeah, so let's talk about protection from this. If you're able to know yourself well enough, you can kind of, honestly, you can kind of overcome your insecurities, and then people can't, people, these entities that essentially go through a person and use them as a vessel can't really have much power over you. They won't be able to weaponize your vulnerabilities against you because you're kind of like, what the fuck ever, I don't give a shit anymore. That's what I did to really overcome a lot of demons and devil-like energy in my life. I was just kind of like, yeah, that doesn't bother me anymore. And when someone is trying to, usually this is with narcissists, but like when someone is trying to cause you dysregulation, cause you emotional instability, etc. Weaponize your vulnerabilities against you, use insecurities to get under your skin or to have some sort of emotional control. When you don't give a fuck, they get so mad. So like it's a couple things that happen is like A, you stay in your power, you stay sovereign, and you stay like, essentially like stoic and composed, and they will lose their shit simultaneously. And this is not to shame anyone. I'm literally just telling you this so that you can be aware of these things, so that hopefully you can implement them in your own life as, again, as forms to protect yourself and to be aware, and to not give in to emotional manipulation or control. But if you do sometimes, like, it's also totally okay. Like, we're human, we're not going to be perfect all of the time. um but I've been through too much shit. So I want to I want to help you out so that it doesn't have to be so drastic if you come across these types of energies. um and just so that you can be a little bit better prepared than I was. But yeah, they'll pretty much lose it if you don't give your power over to them, if you don't fall into their emotional manipulative tactics, and you just stay composed and are just really like, yeah, that actually genuinely doesn't bother me, so whatever. They'll almost immediately have some sort of like hissy fit, breakdown, what's the word? Temper tantrum. That's the best way I can say it. They'll have a temper tantrum, you'll stay composed, and what I've experienced a couple times now from being having to confront these types of energies is when I stay in my power, I almost immediately get rewarded by the universe. So for example, one time, because again, I'm not saying all this because it's like from books I fucking read. Like, this is all real life experience, and I want to share my experiences to give context, and so that they can be, relatable to possible experiences that you have where you're like, oh yeah, that okay, right? So anyway, the one time, I don't really like talking about who these people are. I don't really want to give them any credit, to be honest. So one time I was facing one of these energies and they were trying to emotionally manipulate me, and I just stayed in my power and I didn't give it to them, and I stayed sovereign. And I don't really know what exactly I said or didn't say. I just remember that there was a moment where I had the ability to pause, where I had the ability to pause and respond as opposed to unconsciously react. And when I did so, the other person had a total like hissy fit meltdown, were super offended. I didn't say anything offensive, I just stayed in my power, by the way. But they were really offended, by me staying in my power, and they just started, projecting whatever. And I got a text message from someone that's in my soul tribe almost immediately, and it was like a really nice message. Um, so, discernment is really key here. And yeah, just once you deal with enough energies, you can really like identify like, this is for me, this is not for me, etc. And yeah, the more that you stay in your power or reclaim your power, you get rewarded from the universe from it. And simultaneously, if you act from old timelines, old woundings, or you're just reactive as opposed to responsive, and you're doing it from an unconscious state where you're on autopilot, that will be, I don't want to, like, how do I say this? Like something bad. I don't want to say something bad, but like, you won't be rewarded. I cannot think of the opposite word that I'm looking for right now. What is it? Hold on. Basically, it's going to be to your detriment, and it might not be right away. So this is another thing to be aware of in terms of like timelines and how this plays out. I think this looks hilarious how I'm like sitting and it makes it look like I have like some weird like pouch here or something. Anyway, anyway. um if you like if you stay in your power, you'll be rewarded by the universe almost immediately. Simultaneously, if you react unconsciously, you will be there will be, consequences of your actions, I'll say. But this is where it's tricky, because of course the devil is tricky. It won't be immediate. So this can look like, you saying yes when you should have said no. You abandoning yourself and saying yes in order to people please. And you're like, okay, like nothing bad happened, nothing good or bad happened immediately. Like it was pretty neutral. But then, like, the catch is that then you go to that event that you said yes to, or like whatever it is that you said yes to out of a false sense of obligation or out of a people pleasing, which is out of wounding. And you feel super depleted once you go to the event, or you just have a horrible time and that was like so much of your time and energy wasted, or you get sick, like, but it's down the line, it's not immediate. And this is how you can get sucked into these traps, is because it's like a slow depletion of your soul, essentially, so you don't catch on to it right away. But simultaneously, if you step in or stay in or reclaim your power in that moment instead, you get rewarded immediately, and the reward itself is very obvious. And this is how you know whose team you're playing for. Are you playing for God or the devil, essentially? And I mean, you're not really like playing for God, but you know what I mean. It's like that's how you can identify, because every single moment and choice is either for the highest good, or you're being sucked down into the matrix. And with God, or whatever you want to say, you don't have to say God, you can say source, the universe, whatever. But with that power, that higher power, that all knowing, all loving power, sovereignty, if that source that wants you to be in your power and like wake up from these matrix and these false programs, that's going to be a very clear, decisive, like, yes, like, and feedback system, essentially. Whereas matrix programming or the devil, like, you do something, it feels a little iffy at first, but you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, like, I'm tired, I'll just say yes, and then just this one time, and then that one time turns into two times and three times and four times, until finally you're at a space where, like, you have an autoimmune disorder, you have no money, like, you, like, I don't even know, you just get to such a point of depletion where you have no other choice but to start becoming wildly conscious of all of the actions that you're taking in your life, because if you don't, you'll fucking die, right? um but it's like a slow burn with the devil, where it's, confusing and it's iffy and it's this gray area, where with God it's like, okay, like, no matter what, it's going to be hard. But with God, it's like, it's scary in that moment, because, maybe you're afraid that if you don't people please, that you're going to be persecuted or something like that. It could be a past life wounding. But by like responding from a place of empowerment, you get rewarded immediately. Whereas with the devil, if you operate from wounding or false programming, no, you won't be, persecuted immediately per se, but it will slowly suck your soul dry. And it's a lot harder to pick up on, because it's a lot more subtle and slow. Yeah. And then I wanted to talk about, I'm getting a little tired here, so I don't know how much more I'll talk about. And again, I am going to probably break these down. And I honestly, I might talk about this more in continual videos as well, but this is just kind of like, I just wanted to put everything out there right now, and then maybe I'll go into them each topic in more depth and make its own video about each topic later. But the next thing I want to talk about is portals. This is really big. So mirrors are portals, your eyes are portals, your nails are portals, which I thought was interesting. Your ears are portals, your sex organs are portals, um, your butthole is a fucking portal. Why not? Any of your holes, they're portals. Okay, your mouth's a portal, your nose is a portal. And what do I mean by this? Well, they say that your eyes are the windows to your soul. Oh, your crown also portal. So I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about how to, again, like protect yourself. So I found a bunch of pictures of myself when I was a kid, and I always had, oh, and your fucking feet, dude. Your fucking feet. Also important. And all of these pictures from my childhood, I always had like cowboy boots on, sunglasses, and some sort of hat. And after I had a really profound spiritual awakening, where like you have a spiritual awakening and you see all the dark side of everything, dark sides of everything, and like shit you can't unsee. And after I had that, it made it really obvious to me why I always had sunglasses and a hat and shoes on, was to cover my feet. I'm gonna be so real with you. I still don't really get the feet thing. I just know, since I'm so clairsentient, like I have to have socks on. I do. Unless I'm outside. Like if I'm outside, I can have bare feet. But if my floor is not like the cleanest in the entire world, I have to have socks on. Like I have to have something covering my feet. I don't know. Your eyes are the windows to your soul. So I don't like making eye contact with a lot of people because I can tell that they're like accessing internal information of mine that I don't really want them to have access to. Your ears are portals. This is why like listening to subliminals and everything can be very helpful, and affirmations and all of these things and sound bath healings can be super helpful. Simultaneously consuming like commercials or like really shitty fucking garbage ass music with weird tones, or with I don't know, like disempowering or depresso, or just like shitty fucking lyrics, because let's be honest, there's a lot of shitty music with shitty lyrics. It's gonna affect you, and it's gonna get itself in your subconscious. This is why, like, if a fucking commercial comes on for me, I almost immediately mute it. I don't need that, because even if you can say like, oh, I'm aware of like that they're like messaging me and that they're trying to market me. Yeah, cool, great. It doesn't matter if you're aware, it's still getting lodged into your subconscious. So it's really important that you're just, again, conscious of what it is that you're consuming visually and through your ear holes. Also important what you put in your mouth hole, because it's going to affect your whole body. So like, I don't know, don't eat poison. Maybe give a shit about the quality of water that you're intaking. Makes a huge fucking difference, considering what 80 something percent of our body is water. I actually don't know the percentage, and I could be completely off with that. Don't quote me on that. Please look into that yourself, because I that just came out of I don't fucking know what, and I could be dead wrong on that. But we are made out. We do have a fuck ton of water within our bodies, so it would be really helpful if that water didn't have like, oh, I don't know, fucking fluoride, hormones, metals, etc. So like, I'm a freak about my water, as I think we all should be. Um, and yeah, like eat food that's not fucking poison. It's really that simple. And once you eat more food that is actually medicinal as opposed to poison, because that's the thing, that's where we're at now in the world. Everything is poison or medicine, like period T. So, get the fucking medicine in your body. And once you have more of that, it becomes so fucking obvious. Your sensitivities like increase, and it becomes so obvious what's poison, and then you don't even have like, you have just an absolute aversion to it. It's like, I don't even want that shit. Um so yeah, and what did I cover? Eyes, ears, your mouth hole, your nails. This is interesting, and I really didn't realize this until I had the spiritual awakening. I don't even honestly, I don't know. I don't really get the nail thing. I can't really explain that one to you if I'm being so real. I just know that they are, and so I try to keep my nails painted at all times now. Again, I don't fucking know. I can't explain that, and I can't explain the feet one. It's just these are just knowings. I don't have details on those as of yet. And then yeah, let's talk about your fucking genitals. I don't know for guys, cuz like they're the input, right? We're, as women, like our pussies are portals, obviously, portals to heaven. But yeah, like sexual exchange, like your pussy is a fucking portal to heaven. Gatekeep that shit. I cannot stress this enough. Gatekeep that shit. if you have any kind of exchange, sexual exchange, and honestly, like I'm so fucking sensitive that like if I kiss somebody, I will like take on their karma accidentally. So like best believe no one's getting access to this bitch, okay? Um you can also like sexually exchange with someone in the astral realms now. Like we're really at that point at a consciousness where we're becoming so in tune with energies that like you can actually grant someone access to your ish through sexual exchange in the astral realms. And then essentially you're just leaking energy. So, yeah, like when you have a sexual exchange with someone, you're taking on their ish and they're taking on yours. So, like, if you're an abundant ass woman, which you are, if you're a woman watching this, and if you've made it this far in this video, um, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would hope that you're on my wavelength. Otherwise, I don't know why the fuck you'd be watching this just to make fun of me. I don't know, eat a bag of dicks then. But like, you're exchanging information and you're exchanging information with their lineage and their bloodline, and particularly though you can take on their fucking karma, and holy fucking shit, I wish I knew this shit sooner, because good lord, the amount of other people's fucking bullshit fucking karma that I've taken on as my own, accidentally not realizing the energetics behind it, waste of my goddamn time, if I'm being honest with you. And furthermore, what will happen is like, then when these people start to reap their karma, they will come back to you as a fucking savior, unconsciously, like not knowing, but their soul knows. And it's because they're trying to once again give you their karma. So let me give you a fucking example of this shit. Cause like seriously, I just, if someone had been able to fucking explain this to me and articulate it to me, I could have avoided and prevented a lot of bullshit. Now, granted, it was my path to go through all of this fucking unruly goddamn bullshit so that I could relay this information to you. But like, fuck this shit, dude. I wouldn't I wouldn't recommend it, and honestly I wouldn't want anyone to have to go through this. So hold. I was at a point where I was doing really, really, really well in my life. I was doing really, really well, and I was actually starting to open up about my spiritual gifts and abilities and about being a seer, and was starting to open like spiritual services to people, and I was starting to make videos like this. This was about almost 2 years ago. And one of my fucking exes popped up, came out of the woodwork, because every time that you're about to fucking level up, people with predatory natures, which unfortunately tend to be men, but also unconscious women, I'm not going to put it all on men. There are also plenty of shitty fucking women who are, still plugged into the goddamn patriarchy. And I'm sure they can be evil. I'm sure they can be just as fucking evil and do this bullshit too. I've met these women and they also can suck so many fucking bags of dicks. But I digress. When you're about to level up, people from your past will pop up out of the woodwork because they can sense, again, not consciously, but something in them can sense that you're about to level up. And if they have entities attached to them, if they have a parasitic or predatory nature, they'll pop up and they'll be like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I haven't heard from you in a while. Hey, you just came up. I was just thinking about you. I just wanted to, how you doing? Every fucking time. Honestly, best solution, block these motherfuckers. If you haven't spoken to a fucking bitch in 6 months to a year and they start popping up out of the woodwork when you're doing well, that's really all the fucking information that you need. Thank you. Next. Okay? Block a bitch immediately. So, this is what happened with me. Doing really well in my life. Started opening up about my spiritual gifts and abilities and started creating services for people to purchase and started making videos like this. And my fucking ex from years ago popped up out of the motherfucking woodwork. I saw that he was like creeping on my stories and liking my stuff on social media. And I was like, this is weird. I haven't talked to this motherfucker in years. And he was super non committal. and like didn't want anything to do with me when we dated. Why the fuck is he showing his stupid fucking face now? And of course he gets in my DMs and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Like, I want to hang out, blah 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 blah." And I was like, "I'm gonna be real with you, and this is my thing, and this is like, again, fucking vampires, right? I had a sweet spot. He was like my Achilles heel, right, at the time. Now he's not. Fucking loser. I don't give a shit about him. But like, at the time, I hadn't fully healed that aspect of me, and he kind of had like a weakness. He was one of like the people that I kind of had a sweet spot for still. And like there was that false like romantic fantasy hope, right? Hope. There was hope. There was false hope. And so I was like, we started talking, whatever. And he wanted to hang out. And I was like, okay, we can hang out, but like, you're gonna bring me flowers then, right? And um, this honestly, like, I should have just stopped the conversation right here, but I have to tell you the whole story. He started arguing with me about buying me flowers because he said that flowers were expensive. And I was like, bitch, flowers cost like anywhere between $6 and $10, and I buy them for myself all of the time. Like, if you want to come back into my world after years of not talking to me, you're clearly interested in me and want to fuck me, and you are gonna bitch about buying me a $10 bouquet of flowers? Like, are you kidding me? And so I was gonna cut it off right there, then and there. But I also had horrible friends that, thank God, are no longer in my life anymore. God literally was like, no, these bitches need to get the fuck out of here. So I was friends with this shadow feminine woman, and I'm gonna get into a video about the shadow aspects of feminine and women operating in their inner wounding and their shadow. I'm gonna get into that in another video. But she was like, "Oh, well, just give him a chance. Like, whatever. Like, maybe you're seeing it incorrectly." And this is where I was not. I used to like gaslight my own intuition from other people projecting on me so much. I hadn't fully trusted my intuition at that point yet. And so I was like, fine, I'll give this stupid bitch a fucking chance, right? And I did. And it led to us hanging out, him saying he would bring me flowers, forgetting the flowers, how fucking convenient. And then, like, we had sex. And then, I don't know, not even a month later, when I tell you every aspect of my fucking life fell apart, I mean every aspect of my life fell apart. And I went through this huge spiritual awakening where I saw the dark side of everyone and everything, and etc. But like, within a month of having sex with this man, boy, whatever, finances gone, housing gone, job gone, like literally everything gone. And then I went through this horrible spiritual awakening, and like went to a fucking spiritual shop. A djinn followed me home. Had all this paranormal shit happening in my apartment. There was also like there was a lot of shit. There was a lot of fucking paranormal shit happening to me whilst I was simultaneously going through an awakening. And it was awful. It was truly the worst experience of my life. I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. But I say all this to say, hold. First of all, prior to having sex with him, I don't think I had sex with anyone for like 8 months or something. And we had sex almost immediately. In my mind's eye, I saw this beautiful fucking garden that I had grown in my like sacral and solar plexus area. It was like my entire pelvis, like all this whole area full. It was like this beautiful, bountiful fairy garden that I didn't even realize was growing because it was just happening in the background. And we had sex, and it literally, what I saw in my mind's eye was like a lawnmower just going through and plowing all of my entire garden away, just right down the middle, and everything just started like decaying and dying around it. And it really made me realize, like, oh my God, it took me, 8 months or whatever to grow this beautiful, bountiful garden of abundance within me. And just like that, one mistake, one bad dick, and this motherfucker ruined my garden and then ruined every other fucking aspect of my life. And then he and I had stayed in touch temporarily after that because I was in Bro, I had lost everything. I had lost literally everything. I had lost 97% of my friends because they were fake ass bitches that weren't reciprocating the same amount of love that I gave. So I was, called to cut them out. I was essentially called to cut out everything in my life that was not for my highest and best good. So, lost all the people that I thought were my friends, lost my shitty ass. I mean, honestly, like it's not a loss, like it is a win, but in the moment, it's a loss, and it did take me a fuck ton of time to like process this grievance that I had to go through with all of this, and just the truth. When you're awakened to things that you don't want to see, like they're hard truth pills to swallow. So like lost all my friends, lost my fucking shitty ass toxic job, and by that I mean I quit. And like thank fucking God, dude. What oh God. Fuck that job so fucking hard, dude. That job fucking sucked. That job sucked so bad. I'm so glad I'm out of it. But like yeah, lost 97% of my friends because they were fake ass bitches that weren't reciprocating the same amount of love and energy that I gave. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit that I can pour into you and you can't pour into me. Fuck that shit. One sided relationships, out. Lost majority of the people in my life. Quit my toxic ass job because I was like, this is fucking bullshit and abusive. And I've talked multiple times about the illegal ongoings here and no one seems to give a fuck, etc. That's a whole nother story in itself. And then like what else, yeah, like because of that then I was like in total scarcity mindset, completely terrified, which was allowing these lower entities etc to really invade my space more so. um and yeah, like lost all my money, lost my my apartment, and yeah, just pretty much lost everything, complete like identity collapse, and was in a very vulnerable state where I was just like, well, fuck it. And I didn't have anyone in my life. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll like still hang out with this guy because I'm in a space of desperation. And this is why it's really important to, as best as you can, I mean, hey, shit happens and you're going to learn and grow from everything, but like, best as you can not allow yourself to be in spaces of desperation because then you become reliant on sources that are poison, that are more poison than medicine. So, anyway, I say all this to say him and I were still in contact because I was just totally lost and completely vulnerable and just at a state of absolute, well, fuck it. Like, what else do I have to lose? I might as well allow this fucking piece of shit into my life, at least. It's some sort of warm body near me, right? Really bad, really bad. I usually, like, have a very strong sense of discernment, etc. But when you lose everything, you really just get in the state of fuck it. So, he was still in my life. We hung out again. And then he starts telling me, oh, yeah, like 8, 9 months ago, whatever, like, I had lost all my job and all my finances and almost had to find a new place to live. And I was like, oh, sick. So I was about to level up. And right when I was going to, you fucking inserted yourself into my life. And then I took on your fucking karma. And that's exactly what fucking happened. And I didn't know it at the time. And, again, like I had to go through it in order to learn this really hard, fucking shitty goddamn lesson. But like that's what happened. And so now anytime I'm constantly evolving, I'm constantly going through like deaths and rebirths. So now anytime I'm about to level up, I know that I am, and I just observe people who are coming out of the woodwork. um and I don't let them in, like if you're not someone that was helpful and supportive to me, like you're not getting in. I haven't talked to you in how long, and now all of a sudden you suddenly want to be in my space? No, fuck off. Because even if they're not directly taking your money or resources, by being in your energy, which is abundant, they can siphon it. They can siphon you energetically. And if you're again like not aware of what's happening, you just don't know. You don't know. You don't know it. Um, but yeah, the karma thing's really interesting too because I've noticed with other guys. So as a high priestess, like my guides really don't play about me. I can name 3 guys off of the top of my head, this ex that I just mentioned included, who have come back to me, again, years later, wanting me to be their goddamn savior because their loved one died. Had an ex, both his parents fucking died a couple years after we broke up. Another ex, brother died. this last ex I just mentioned, his like stepdad or whatever, who he was really close to, died. And every single time is when they came to me. Again, hadn't spoken to these motherfuckers in years, had completely forgotten that they existed, which is how they were able to receive their karma. And then they come up out of the woodwork and want to fucking give me their goddamn sob story so that I can pity them and feel bad for them and give them sympathy and then essentially relieve them from their karma. So if someone does you wrong, and then you basically, move on with your life and completely detach emotionally and forget they fucking exist, that is the only time that they can receive their karma. If you're still energetically or emotionally attached to them, it's prolonging their karma. This is why horrible people want to stay in your life and stay in your energy. And when they can sense you pulling away, etc., that's when they like lean in even more. That's when they start like wanting to give you things, wanting to give you like win you over with gifts, money, like whatever the fuck it is. That's when they're like, oh my gosh, how can I stay in your energy? Because again, even if it's not on a conscious level, on some level, they know that when they fully lose you, they're gonna reap their consequences, but they can't do so so long as you're still energetically or emotionally attached to them, because that would reel you into their karma. So once you pull back your energy, disconnect completely, like emotionally, energetic, etc., that is when they can receive their karma. But right before they do, they're going to do their damnedest to weasel their way back in with you so that they don't have to receive it. And they're going to have to receive it eventually, but maybe not in this lifetime, or they can at least prolong it. So yeah. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. Um, these are just all things to be aware of and things that I had to learn. And I just wanted to share my stories with you so that you can learn it too. But like, you ever realize that like once you forget about someone, that's when all of a sudden, like you forget about an ex, for example, that's when all of a sudden they pop up out of the woodwork. It's not coincidental. It's because you disconnected and they're now gonna receive the karma for treating you like shit. And somewhere their soul knows it, and they obviously don't want to have to go through that. So they want to get back in your good graces so that they don't, oh Jesus Christ, that scared the shit out of me, so that they don't have to experience their karma. But like, that's on them, bro. You didn't have to, treat someone like absolute garbage. If you didn't treat them like garbage, you wouldn't be receiving shitty karma, you'd be receiving good karma. So yeah, that's what I want to say about that. Hold on, let me close my window because there's weird energy outside right now. The sun went down. The sun went down, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna say. Oh my gosh, I've had so many IM notifications come up during this. The last thing I want to say for now, and again, I really probably will go into shorter videos on each of these broken down so that you don't have to sit here for over an hour. But I just wanted to say all of this because all of this has been on my chest and in my fucking head, and I wanted to stop this mental loop. Oh gosh, there's more. There there's more I want to say actually, so I'm going to say it. I hope more doesn't come up after this. I have two more things and I really hope that's it because I kind of have to pee and I just want to be done with this video. But in regards to protection and vulnerability, yeah, cover your crown. I don't know if you guys have heard about the telepathy tapes, that podcast. I have to be honest with you, I haven't listened to it, but supposedly it talks about how basically now that I think at least this is what I've gathered, is that now that we're in a space of human evolution and consciousness elevating, we're basically mind readers now, and it's just going to become more and more that way. So when you're near someone, you can essentially pick up on their thoughts. um, Again, as someone who's like already clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, all the goddamn clairs, as someone who's psychic as fuck, I already knew this shit, but that could be a good reference for you maybe. But this is to say, like, cover your head, cover your crown, wear a hat, wear a head wrap, etc., so that you can keep your thoughts to yourself so that other people can't pick up on them and use your ideas that are in your mind. They're yours, okay? They're for you. Obviously, you don't have to always have a hat or a head wrap, but sometimes it can be beneficial, especially if you're like out in a crowded place with people that you don't really fuck with, because fuck that, they do not get to, you know, fucking extract your essence and your ideas without your consent. Um, cover your crown, cover your crown. And then, especially like if you're a woman and you are in your luteal phase or you're bleeding, at these moments, we are even more energetically sensitive and psychic and intuitive. And so it's really, and vulnerable too, because we just have less resilience. We're less able to like adapt to stress in those times. So we're basically just in more vulnerable positions, and we're also more psychic as fuck. So like in those times, like 2 weeks leading up to your period might be a good time to, if you can, and like I fucking say this, but right now I live in a city, so it's really hard for me to do so. So, you know, do what you can. But if you can, if you have to go out, like limit going out if you can, like kind of hermit in those times, because you are more sensitive and psychic, and you're going to be picking up on all the energies that's exterior to you. Simultaneously, you're more energetically open. And so, again, parasitic bitches, etc., can kind of pick up on your energy and kind of uh, take things from your energetic field because you're in a space that's more open. So, you know, if you can, try to keep to yourself if you have to go out, because I know I have to go out like and get fucking groceries and sit and shit, like sunglasses, a fucking hat, like anything to cover your portals, fucking headphones even, like that's what I like to do. Go out, have some headphones, try not to make eye contact with people, that type of shit. So these are ways that you can protect yourself. Other ways that you can protect yourself, I know, hold on, my tea. I know a lot of people like to talk about shielding with yourself with a ball of golden light. I personally don't like doing that because my aura is already extremely bright. I'm already a fucking lighthouse in the dark, okay? And when you are one, that attracts moths, okay? You put a fucking light outside, guess what? All the motherfucking bugs start attracting to it. So it's like, if you're this bright fucking ball of golden light, sure, you can attract high vibrational opportunities, but you'll also attract all the fucking bottom feeders. And it's not your fault. I'm not putting the blame on you. I'm just saying that if you're a bright ass light, guess what? Things of the darkness are going to be like, "Oh, shiny. Oh, a shiny object." So I personally stopped doing that. I no longer protect myself with a shield of golden light. Um I like to do mirror balled shields. So I will imagine in my mind's eye and also ask for, the help of some archangels, particularly Archangel Michael, because he's an archangel of protection. But I'll ask him and my guides and angels. We all have a team of spirit guides that we can call to help assist us, and archangels are always open to assisting us. We just have to call upon them and, give them our consent for them to help us. But I'll ask for Archangel Michael to protect me in a mirror ball shield with the mirror reflecting outwards, so all energy is returned to sender. And then that way I get to be like myself in my own bubble, and anyone's projections, etc., will be bounced back and go towards them. Because when I'm a light worker, and when you are a light worker and you shine super brightly and you're a light in the dark, projectors love to project their shit on you. And I'm pretty over transmuting other people's fucking bullshit, to be quite honest with you. So now I'm like, no, like I'm gonna pass that back. I'm gonna pass the baton back to you because it was never mine to take on to begin with. I'll transmute my own energy, I'll do my own healing. Your shit, not my fucking issue. So mirrored ball shield I really like. And then another thing is, I think, as unique and individualized as you can possibly make it will be whatever's strongest for you, right? So like a mirror ball shield, that's a general one. You can protect yourself in like a black shield if you're going out in public, because black is a very protective color. You can look into different colors as well, because you can also align it with like different chakras that maybe need a little bit more empowering. Maybe you need to speak your truth more, so you want to project yourself in a blue shield or something like that. So it's like look into colors for different shieldings of colors and what they can mean, and see what resonates with you personally. And then also like authenticity is the strongest frequency. So do what works for you. Like I don't always feel like I need to, cover my head or put myself in a shield because sometimes I just feel like I can show up as I am and I'm protected enough. But extra protection is never gonna hurt. But then again, like, of course, there are times in our lives where we're going to be more vulnerable. Again, like if you're a woman, before you bleed, you're more vulnerable. If you're sick, you're going to be more vulnerable. If you're experiencing some sort of grief or you're in some sort of life transition, you're going to be in a more vulnerable state. And that's completely okay. That just means that in those spaces, you might want to up your protection games a little bit. You can use protection oils. Um, Again, shielding is always great. Something that I like to do is surround myself in not even like a shield, but just like imagine that I'm covered in roses because roses, first of all, are the symbol of the divine feminine, but also roses have thorns. So 111 on the clock. So for me, it's like I'm very in tune with my feminine essence. I really enjoy flowers and fruit. That was the other thing I wanted to say. If you want to increase your feminine power, eat fruit. Eat fruit, eat fruit, and connect with plants and connect with Mother Gaia because she's the feminine essence. Okay, so as much as you can connect with nature, but again, I know a lot of us are in like concrete jungles and stuff. So eating fruit that'll help strengthen your femininity, especially as we're now in the divine feminine uprising, and a lot of women are going through transitions, and I mean I think we all are going through awakenings and whatnot. But, in order to strengthen your femininity, eat some fruit, get in touch with nature, buy yourself some flowers. Um, and yeah, I actually like to protect myself by imagining that I am surrounded by essentially a rose bush and like good luck getting in. You got to get through all those fucking thorns, motherfucker. So like, yeah, I'm also a Cancer, so I, I very much am the embodiment of like I have this, I have this shell to protect me because the inside of me is this soft squishiness. And you know what? People eat crabs. People eat crabs. So I don't want to be consumed. This also reminds me of the movie Perfume, Story of a Murderer. One of my favorite movies as well, but I often feel like that as someone who is so open and is a light worker. I often feel like because there are so many predatory and parasitic forces, a lot of times they just want to siphon my energy and my essence. And at the end of that movie, the guy is he's essentially consumed by people because they're so drawn to him and his magnetism and his scent. Great movie. I really want to rewatch it. I might rewatch it after I post this actually. But oh god, I fucking love movies. I fucking love movies and music and books. Oh, John dies at the end? Bro. Favorite book ever, also one of my favorite movies, but like another one that just like tells you how it is. And the movie is it's so funny, dude. The writer Jason Pargin, he used to go by David Wong, but I think he goes by his real name. Fucking hilarious. Love that man. So goddamn funny. Um, but I digress. I'm getting off track again. But yeah. Okay. So it's like the inside of me is so squishy, right? It's so squishy. But because of that, so many people and predators and entities want to like siphon my squishy, like beautiful, amazing, abundant energy. And so I have to protect myself. And so I'm a Cancer. So I do have this shell and I have to, I'm so open naturally that if I'm not discerning and protective of my energy, um, people can mistake my kindness and generosity as naivety, which has happened a lot of times, even though I'm a fucking genius. So, like, fuck those goddamn idiots. But anyway, I have to be really discerning in who I allow into my essence and my space because people do benefit from, like, literally just being around me. Um, So yeah, I like to have my I like to put up my shell when need be, you know. That's not to say I don't relax and open up. I certainly do. I have to. I can't constantly be like fucking constricted all the goddamn time, but there are times where I have to kind of zip up my field or be a little bit more guarded or put my shield up. There's this one picture of a crab wielding a knife. And I'm always like, that's me. Like that is me to a T. I have to protect my soft squishy insides, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you should probably, if you feel called to, you should probably protect yours as well. There's nothing wrong with protecting your essence, um and being really firm in your internal and external boundaries and your inner and outer boundaries. Fuck, that was another thing I wanted to talk about. Damn it, I thought I was going to be done with this video already. For fuck's sake, this shit is never ending. Is YouTube gonna delete this because I'm cursing so much? I'm gonna have to make a fucking Patreon. I refuse to not cuss. Like, fuck that shit. I love cussing. Fuck censorship. Okay, this is the last thing I want to say, and then I hope I'm done with this video, because for fuck's sake, this has been really long. If you made it to this point, damn, you a trooper. I appreciate your patience. I hope this has been entertaining. Um, what the fuck was it? Now I fucking lost it. Shitballs. Well, I don't know, I guess we're done with the video. It's gonna come back to me as soon as I'm done with this video. Where did it go? What was I talking about? It was one of those things where it was just like completely taken out of my mind and just like fucked off into another goddamn dimension. Uh Oh, okay, here we go. Yep. Everyone talks about like being open-minded, and like, doing drugs to like open you up and expand your fields of consciousness, etc. But like very few people talk about containment. Bro, as someone who is a seer, a psychic, and fucking neurodivergent, I had to also learn I don't need to be more fucking open, which is why I stopped smoking weed and I stopped doing mushrooms, because these things open your energetic boundaries so that you literally don't have any, and therefore you can immerse yourself in everything. And yeah, okay, cool. Maybe sometimes you get those feelings of like oneness, as they say, right? And you're like, "Oh, non-duality. We're all big one big fucking bro, there are vampires. They're fucking vampires and demons. Do you really want to be oneness and enmeshed with that shit? I don't. So like, yeah, no, I don't think we need to be more open. I mean, some people do. Some people do. But if you're like a woman, you are already naturally open and more perceptive to things. And again, like, if you're a woman, before you bleed, you're more open and like, you know, enmeshed and immersed in the environment. I don't think we need to be more open. I think if anything, we need to have stronger internal boundaries and containment. So it's like, again, this is where discernment comes in place. Like, yeah, I will be open and I will shake my ass off and I will do things that feel ritualistic to me, and do things that I feel like I can let loose in doing, but I'm not going to do that everywhere, because not everywhere is a safe space to do so. Um, so like containment, it's like I'm going to do the thing that gets me in a really high vibrational state alone in a sacred, enclosed space where it's contained, and I can let loose in that contained space, and then bring my medicine into the world and use discernment as to what persona or aspect of self I feel safe in showing in what specific spaces. We can be everything everywhere, but we can't be everything everywhere all at once. Such a good fucking movie, also. You want to know how to break the fucking Matrix? Watch that goddamn movie. That's like a step by step motherfucking guide. Again, like Hollywood will tell you all of these things. Take fucking notes. um, but yeah, that was like another thing I had to learn, is like, okay, I'm allowed to express, I'm allowed to express this, and I'm allowed to express this, and I'm allowed to be this embodiment. but I can't do that everywhere solely because it's not really safe for me to. Because, you know, doing things that open you up energetically in spaces that are not safe, or where people are like jealous of you, or there's evil eye, or there's just demonic energies and entities, etc. If you're opening yourself up energetically, they can get into your field. In some spaces, in some not spaces, in some situations, they can have access to your vessel and completely take you over. Did I mention that mirrors are portals? Mirrors are portals. Oh my god, dude, every time I start talking about paranormal shit, like stuff, I get so like jumpy. I just heard something out there and it scared the shit out of me. Mirrors are portals. Please do not do drugs and look at yourself in the eye in mirrors, because you're literally opening yourself up for essentially remote viewers. Remote viewing is very much a thing. Astral projection is very much a thing. And yeah, not most of the people using these tools are not using them for the good of humanity. We have to remember that the CIA, what like fucking they looked into like I don't even know all of this stuff. It's not, I don't fully know it, but like they did research on like remote viewing so that they could use it to themselves. They did research on like psychics and intuition so that they could use the powers for themselves. So it's like when you're looking into mirrors and stuff and you're looking in your fucking eyeballs, you're opening yourself up energetically. So like I'm not saying you can't do it all the time, but like please don't do it when you're fucking tripping balls, okay? Please don't, because next thing you know, your mirror is a fucking, you just open a goddamn portal in your mirror, and now you have remote viewers looking at you through your mirror. There was a scene in this in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Yeah, that's very much what happens. I've done it accidentally, and then you have to lock your mirrors. Like you can lock them, you can cleanse them, and you can lock them again, but you do have to do it. But it's a really, really disturbing thing that can happen where like you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you know that someone else is also looking at you in the mirror. Ugh, it gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. But yeah, that happens. Another thing, like monitoring spirits, because I'm so powerful, I've just had to get used to the fact that like they're just always going to be watching me and following me. But like that'll look like, little buggies showing up. I can't tell you the amount of fucking gnats that have just been fucking showing up in my bedroom for no goddamn reason. And I'm like, yeah, I know that you're a goddamn monitoring spirit. Like, fuck off, okay? Have to kill those motherfuckers immediately. But yeah, um, portals, all of these things. Valid. What was I talking about before I started talking about the portals thing and the mirrors? Energetic boundaries. Yeah. So here's the thing. When you take part in substances and you drink or you smoke weed or you do mushrooms, they open you up energetically. And I'm not saying that you can never do these. Personally, I have no desire to ever do these things ever again in my entire life, to be completely honest. I don't think, at least not for now, just because I would have to have like a really safe, sacred space to do so. And honestly, like I'm open enough. I don't need to be opened up anymore. But, for the majority of people who are not as open, they can probably get away with it every now and then. But when I just want you to understand that when you are partaking in substances, etc., it is opening you up energetically. It's opening up your energetic field. This is why it's called wine and spirits. This is why when you go to a fucking bar, it's very dimly lit and it's dark, because that's where all the spirits, lower vibrational entities, etc., energies, parasitic energies, and sometimes it's like just like really low vibrational. I mean, a lot of times it's just low vibrational people and spirits who died in some sort of tragic way and are stuck here on the physical plane because they haven't done the healing work to cross over, essentially. And so they just fucking hang out in bars and wait for you to get drunk so they can fuck with you. But like, yeah, it opens you up energetically, and it opens up your energetic and your auric field. And this can lead to entities following you home. This can lead to, if you're really open enough, them like essentially taking over your vessel completely. This is why people might act like a completely different person when they're really drunk, because it's not them. They were taken over by an entity, and their consciousness and their soul is like in a different fucking dimension in that point in time. And that's why people like get blackout drunk and then they don't remember what happened, because they weren't there. They were taken over by an entity. And yeah, same thing with like smoking weed. Again, I used to smoke a lot of weed in order for me to like meditate and like get into in touch with like the astral realms and get in touch with my guides and whatnot. And I eventually, it was again, it was a part of my journey. Same with mushrooms, like it was part of my journey for me to be aware of things and open up myself up to things and to see things, but it's no longer a part of my process anymore. I've grown past that. And I really, really love being sober now. Holy shit. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm good on all that. But I just say this to like let you know when I was in the process because it took me a really long time. It took me a little bit over a year to get fully sober off of weed because I used to really love weed. And what I realized as I became more energetically attuned and sensitive is like when I would partake in these substances was like, oh yeah, like I already knew it about mushrooms. I always took mushrooms in a really ritualistic way and made sure I had a sacred, safe space and set an intention, etc. Because I always knew that. I always thought it was weird as shit that people use it as a party drug. It's honestly, it's not only wildly irresponsible, it's also extremely disrespectful to the medicine. So I know I'm going on a tangent, but like if I feel called to eventually in the future to take mushrooms for some sort of medicinal purpose or ritualistic ceremonial purpose, I will partake. This isn't to say I'm never taking it again. I just think at least for now, I've I have no reason to do that. I've already done that in my life for, shadow work and past life uh awakenings and etc. But yeah, it's really it's really irresponsible to do mushrooms as like a party favor or to just take mushrooms like casually and like watch a movie or something or take mushrooms with people. Like it's really irresponsible to use it as like a party drug and do it with other people without an intention. And it's also really disrespectful to the plant medicine itself. That's not what it's meant to be used for. So that's one thing I want to say. And then in terms of like weed or mushrooms or any other kind of, substance like this, it is opening up your energetic field. And so you don't have energetic boundaries. You don't have control over your energetic boundaries, which means that you don't get to have control over what you allow in and what you allow out. You're just there's no boundaries. You're just essentially it's like when you're a soul, not bound to a body, and you're just floating and you can float out anywhere and you can, move like liquid and like water through anything and anywhere. And whilst that may seem like a good thing, we also need to be aware of the dark forces that exist on this planet and realize that we do have a body. And if we have no control over our energetic bodies, or excuse me, our energetic boundaries, and we're just completely open like water, then we're also allowing these darker parasitic energies, entities, demonic energies, etc., into our field, and we don't get to consent like whether or not they come in. We don't have the capability to control what comes in and what leaves us, so we don't have control over our energy leaving or leaking, and we also don't have control over what is entering our energetic and auric fields because we've taken a substance that doesn't give us any autonomy over our bodies essentially. So these are just all things to be aware of. Because yeah, like I said, if you're someone who's already really energetically open, like I am, like you don't need to be more open. You probably need more containment, which means that you need to have these sort of safe spaces in order to open yourself up. But we're not, we can't be constantly open everywhere because it's just not, it's not very wise. I'll say that. Okay, last thing I'll say, I know I've said this a million fucking times, but in regards to safe spaces, again, because I'm a fucking movie media book nerd, this also pertains to video games. I was guided to play the video game Persona 5. I haven't played the other Personas, but I really, really love Persona 5. But anyway, they have these safe rooms where they can go in and essentially like refill their energy and like heal themselves, etc. And like again, it's exactly how it is in the real world. Restrooms, for example, it's why they're called restrooms. Like they're really good safe spaces. So for me personally, like I drive a lot. If I'm driving a really far place or whatever. Like if I'm going to a destination, because I drive a lot, I drive far distances and I drink a fuck ton of water constantly, I always have to fucking pee. And so anytime I get anywhere, I almost always immediately go to the bathroom, you know, I relieve myself, and then it also allows me a time, like some time to kind of get back in my own energy and kind of like recenter myself before then putting myself in this different space. So yeah, safe spaces. It can be, again, it can be a restroom, it can be like your favorite cafe that's near you, it can be your bedroom, it can be a closet. A lot of neurodivergence. We have a past of like hiding in our closets and making that our little like magical portal and bridge between worlds, and it is. So these are just things to be aware of so that you can kind of be strategic in like how you move through the world so that you can set up these sort of safe spaces for pause and recalibration before then having to kind of like armor yourself back up to go back into the world and like boundary yourself back up to go back in the world. um yeah, and in these spaces, this is where you can like shield up. Okay, like I'm in the bathroom, like okay, now I'm gonna put this shield around me so that I can go out into this public space, etc. So yeah, good Lord, an hour and a half later. I hope that this was both entertaining and insightful. Um, my goals with sharing all of this is really just to give people tools to better protect yourself and just to stay aware of how how living in this world, uh, how it goes and how things work and how to operate so that you can stay sovereign, have control over your autonomy and your body, and keep yourself safe and protected in a state where we're becoming increasingly energetically sensitive and open and able to feel, sense into, and pick up thought forms from other people, and where the external noise is becoming a lot louder, whilst also we're being asked to go within as well. So it's like, we can't avoid the external world, we can't avoid the external noise, but if you can set up these safe spaces of containment where you have time and space to come back to yourself, go inwards, and come back to your center and really just be with your own essence, that's basically like that's how you stay protected, that's how you stay sovereign, and that's how you can better differentiate what is your energy and what is not your energy, so you can get really in tune with your energy. So when and if you do pick up on other people's energies, thought forms, etc., you can almost immediately identify that, oh, this is a foreign energy, this doesn't belong to me. And then, honestly, a lot of times by that acknowledgement alone, you can get rid of it. Or you can say, like, this isn't my energy, I return it to sender. Or this isn't my energy, I send it into source to be channeled back into love and light, etc. But just so that we're not being bombarded with other people's energies and emotional burdens that we feel that we need to take on as our own, or aren't even aware, isn't our own, and unconsciously take it on or become enmeshed with. Um, so yeah, that is that is it. Thank you so much. If you've made it to the end, bro, really appreciate you. Uh, you're a real trooper, and I'm really glad, and I hope that this resonated. I hope that this was again like insightful, informative, and also entertaining. And feel free to uh, leave anything down in the comments. Um, I do tend to get a lot of trolls, so if you're a troll leaving some shit in the comments, I don't take it personally. It is just kind of annoying, and I would prefer you not do it, but I don't have any control over you. So just know that if you write some hateful shit in my comments, I'm not going to take it personally. I'm just going to very clearly see it as a projection of your own inner wounding, and I'm just going to continue to act as a mirror for you. And if this did resonate and you have any kind of insights that you want to share, or you want to share any kind of supportive comments, like those really mean a lot to me as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.